This podcast is a member of WildGamesProductions.com and D20Radio.com.
I'm Chuck Norris, and I approve this game.
Between the time when gamers played with miniatures and chainmail and the rise of the Wizards of the Coast, there was an age of advanced role-playing undreamed of. And onto the Skygax, destined to bear the jeweled crown of TSR upon a troubled brow, it was given to teach us all how to roll for initiative.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to the Roll for Initiative podcast, volume number 3, issue number 139. I am DM Vince, sitting alongside the wrestler, DM Matt.
Hello, everyone.
Our illustrious mispronouncer, DM Nick.
Hi, everybody.
And the man that makes you barf inside your mouth that used to work at Borders, DM Crispy.
It's me. Hello. Prepare your barf bags, because I'm in it for the long haul.
Yes, Chad is off this week. He had an emergency call at work, and he had to go settle a network alarm. Aww.
Man.
Happens when you're a network administrator, or I think he's an engineer, actually. So
Those mischievous kobolds and goblins getting into the network again.
yeah, I've been there, done that. That's why I hate being on call on weekends. So what are you going to do? So we got
the
a
big bucks.
wonderful show for you tonight. But first, let's turn our attention to Crispy, who hasn't been on the show in quite some time. Crispy, what have you been up to?
Just school, and I recently joined a new game group. We are playing Edge of Empire. I know some people in this podcast have, qualms about that game, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm playing
Edge of Empire. Please elaborate. I'm not familiar.
Edge of Empire is the new Star Wars game by, is it Fantasy Flight?
Yep. Yeah, Fantasy Flight.
So they got the Star Wars license on that.
They do have the Star Wars license. It's a dice pool game. It uses its own special dice, which I kind of have problems with. I think that's not as good as it could be, but it's fun. I like it a lot. I'm playing a bounty hunter gadgeteer, so I'm basically a MacGyver Boba Fett.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I have no problem with the game, Mr. Hinter. It's just it wasn't for me. I tried it, just didn't like it.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Anyway, I don't care if you play with it. That's your problem. So
yeah, I'm just
It's
ribbing
your
you.
problem. Oh, no.
It's my problem.
that's right. It's your problem. So, Matt, what have you been doing, Mr. Wrestler or some man here?
Gaming wise, not a whole lot. I'll actually be restarting my home group's Ravenloft campaign tonight after the show. So, yay! They will be going into Mordenshire, so they will get to deal with the House on Griffin Hill. Ha ha ha!
Ooh.
Okay.
So they have that among other things, while also having a 11-year-old and a 4-year-old child in tow with their group, because apparently when leaving one domain, they forgot to leave the children they had saved.
So,
Yeah, didn't you mention that before?
Yeah, and they can't
still got those kids with them?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yes. It's
I thought you were talking about actual kids, they couldn't find a babysitter.
no, that would be amazing if they actually had to bring their children. But no, in game they are actually playing nanny. Usually, what happens if someone misses a week, they get nanny duty. So it kind of works. One week our cleric was out, so we said he spent the time on. They actually have a boat. Teaching them about his religion. Had some Bible study, you could say.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then the thief of the group wants to have some time alone with them to make them thieves. The cleric wants to make them clerics. You have all, so it's kind of amusing, actually.
Kids are going to get them all mixed up. It'll come out in therapy in the future. So
Well, considering their parents were actually killed by marionettes, I think they were already doomed for
they
having
were
therapy.
killed by puppets.
Yes.
Can't stop Pinocchio.
No. Yeah, they're actually from in the one domain. It's where the Lord is evil marionette.
So you have like the puppet master from those movies who did
Right. It's like Pinocchio. If Pinocchio was chaotic evil and Geppetto was just this sad, lonely man who merely wanted a boy and ignores the fact that his puppet son is murdering everyone.
Well, that's comforting.
Yeah. At which point, Geppetto in our game ended up dying in a fiery death when the players lit his building on fire and the half-orc stood
Poor
outside
Geppetto!
cheering it on.
No.
Yes.
Only one of them was a real boy. Okay, that just sounds wrong.
Yeah. Yes, there's many things wrong about my gaming group at the game we're running.
Yeah.
So, but
Those
yeah.
poor kids. But yeah, the 11-year-old is a boy or a girl?
Girl.
Oh,
Yep. So you have an 11-year-old.
that's interesting. I would say it could be a page for somebody.
No, I have some other ideas for her as the adventure progresses. Yes.
Aspiring thief or wizard.
I don't. Maybe Strahd gets a little Oh, are you my love?
Oh no, that's not right.
Hey, he's a Dark Lord.
Yeah, that's dark, all right.
That's a borderline Dragon Age dark going on there.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Nick.
Oh, me. Well, we just played the nightly campaign my friend Jeff is doing with the Hackmaster 4th Edition rules.
Is that nightly as in like frequency or nightly as in
Nightly as
nights?
in knights.
Okay, knightly.
Knights.
Oh, Knight.
Which is the one campaign it's kind of in its basis and its structure is very much like Game of Thrones. And we're having a great time with it. So last night we were pursuing the nemesis of my knight errants, Lord Veld, where we found out that not only is he going to try to get an army of giants, ogres, and fire drakes together to take over the realm, he is going to another local lord marry his daughter and then conveniently have her hanged for treason. So we were on a rescue mission to get her safe and secure, which we pulled off with some very interesting things. Particularly going into the town where Lord Veld where he ended up, he was in another keep outside of the town, and he hired mercenaries to take law and order in his own hands. So the local militia were disbanded. The mayor was, sent back to his home. He's no longer mayor, and Lord Veld's ruling over this village. And so we got to thinking, it's like, how are we going to get into the keep, and how are we going to deal with these mercenaries? And I'm thinking, you know what? They're mercenaries. Who's their loyalty to? No one. Whoever the highest bidder is, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, well, let's find a mercenary captain, made contact with him, and I basically plopped 1,100 gold pieces in front of him and said, this is for you and your men if you take the tabards off there that you have and just walk out of town. He goes, I'll do you one better. We'll drop the tabards and we'll take the horses and we'll ride out of town. I'm like, great. So that took care of the mercenaries. So we didn't have to fight them at all, which was great. But we were able to find the princess, if you want. Yeah, I guess she would be. Well, she's nobility at least. She was stuck in a pit in a dungeon, basically wasting away. But we saved her. Veld got away yet again. But it's going well. My daughter Anna, she's part of the game.
Oh wow!
And she's playing a monk. So. Because she's into martial arts, she does karate. She wanted to do. I told her about the monk class, first level monk. We're riding into the keep, and she did the the one amazing display for level 1 monks. She did it on horseback. So she's performing a karate kata on horseback, and these two guys with battle axes are like stunned and can't attack. So she's like, "That's so awesome." So yeah, good time. Good time was had by all.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going really well. Having a lot of fun with it. Lots of role playing.
Good.
Yeah, little combat here and there, but mostly role playing when everybody's having fun with it.
Sounds good to me.
What about you, Vince?
Well, I haven't done any real gaming lately because of work and stuff like that. We were playing Shadowrun 5th Edition, but had to postpone that for a little while. Hopefully getting back into the game for that. But I've been working on the new edition of Mazes and Perils with our group of writers now that we have, apparently.
Oh, cool.
So Mazes and Perils Expanded Edition will be hitting the shelves by North Texas RPG Con, hopefully. Speaking of which,
I was going to say, speaking of which,
which is in June on the 5th to the 8th in DFW, Texas, or Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area at the Marriott. You can go to ntrpgcon.com for more information. It is, I believe, the first and original only OSR-based gaming convention other than the OSR Con, which I think might have came after them. I'm not sure. We'll have to Google that and look to who was first, but the first one in the United States, we'll say that, because I think OSR Con is in Canada. But
yeah, I think it is. It's in Toronto.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, we're the only first in America. Probably the first to begin with, but...
I don't know. Didn't Gary Con kind of start like that as an OSR Con, or no?
No, I think North Texas was before Gary Con.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because Gary Con started after Gary Gygax's death. OSR Con will be having its 4th con this year.
Actually, Gary Con's older. It's Gary Con's 5th year.
Yeah, but North Texas has been around for quite a while, so...
Oh, okay. All right.
I think North Texas has been around since Osric has been out on the shelves, so...
Oh, wow.
At least I think. I don't know. I'd have to ask Mike about it. I don't know. I haven't really asked. Sorry. But I will be there trying to do an episode of RFI there. So I might be coordinating with you guys to get a live show going from the con.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. Who knows? Depending on how the setup works there. But I will be there doing interviews and talking to people and dancing and singing and making fun of Nick. No comment.
What? Make fun of me? Fine. Because the next week after that, I'll be at Origins and I'll make fun of you. So,
yep. And I may be at Origins as well. So.
Oh, I know a couple people.
Oh, cool. Very well.
Yes.
On Twitter, we got a post on Twitter. I forgot the person's name. I apologize. He was asking if any one of us will be going to Gary Con, and I believe Chad said he'll be going.
Yeah, Chad will be there.
Nick, you're not going. Matt, are you going?
He did say that.
No.
Okay.
I'd love to go to Gary Con, but it just, yeah.
Yes.
I don't assume Crispy will be going.
No, I'm not going to Gary Con. I have student loans.
Yes.
Maybe you'll come to Texas.
I'm going to be in debt until I'm 60, so.
Let's see here. And then I just found out North Texas, this will be their 6th North Texas RPG Con this year.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
So they're neck and neck with Gary Con, because I assume that Gary Con was kind of a private con before it became public.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't the original Gary Con
I guess
like
this year at Gary Con, from what I saw on Facebook, is they're going to have a TSR alumni get-together. So for all those folks who used to work for TSR back in the day, they're going to have like just some sort of like alumni get-together maybe. So sounds pretty fun.
Cool. And the So You Want to Be an OSR Superstar contest plugs along with Tanker's Tavern, and Eric has finally announced as of right now, but probably by the time you listen to this, they'll be on round 2, that the judges have the access to the 330 entries for round 1.
Wow.
330?
Yeah, 330 entries. I posted this morning as he put up a nice picture of his cat sleeping in front of some dice. I love the picture. He always manages to find a way to put his cat in the picture, and I always comment on that, but gotta love Eric. Yeah.
I see him post a lot in the Swords and Wizardry Google Plus discussion group.
Yes.
He always posts really good things.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Swords and Wizardry.
Yes, that's why the rules were based off of Sword and Wizardry, probably because he didn't that much. But Yeah, so the entries, people should be getting their free PDF copy of Dagger, the RPG for kids, since you submitted. I think, Nick, you submitted, right?
I didn't have time, unfortunately. I racked my brain, tried to think of something, and just didn't quite come up with anything good.
I submitted. I know DM Mike submitted. Maybe Chad might have because he was thinking about it. Matt, did you submit?
No, I did not. I was just like, I had too much other stuff going on later that day, and I'm just like not going to be able to do anything.
So we had a couple entries from our show.
How about you, Crisper?
No, I didn't even know what was going on.
Oh, Crispy.
Sorry, I have studied German all the time.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Well, you
Ja,
could
ich spreche Deutsch.
your entry could have been in German.
Yeah.
Vielleicht.
Yeah, okay. Well, back to English.
Sieben.
Anyway, so you can go for more information, tinkerstavern.com, put a note in there. But by the time it comes out, we'll be at round 2, so you can keep up on it. I'm sure there'll be another one following in a year from now. It looks like this one of these things that he might want to keep doing because it's kind of fun, so why not, right?
Why not?
Yeah. Why not? I think that's it. We'll head into some sage advice now.
Sage advice.
Sage advice has been brought to you by the barf bag for Crispy this week.
No. Poor Crispy.
And we have 2 voicemails and some email. If you'd like to send us a voicemail, it is 570-865-4210, the hotline. So please sit back, put up your tray tables, and mute your microphones as we play our first voicemail.
Hey guys, I just want to bring it to your attention. I was listening to episode 137. I'm part of a small little group in Oakville, Ontario, Canada. We're a board gaming group, and we play various games similar to the board games you were mentioning. And a great resource that we use on the internet, I don't know if you've encountered it, because I'm not quite finished listening to that episode, was BoardGameGeek.com. On Board Game Geek, there's forums, and in the forums, you can actually see variants of games that people either have created or have been released officially by the creator of the game. For example, Pathfinder card game. In the Pathfinder card game, I believe there's like a Keep on the Borderlands remake into a card game. So I thought you might find that interesting that not only RPG gamers homebrew stuff, but so do board game players, especially modern day board gamers, because modern board games are amazing. And if you don't mind, anyone is in the Oakville area, come and join us at the Oakville Gamers Facebook page. There is no hidden agenda. We just want to get people together to play games. And I hope you guys explore board games more and enjoy them, because they're really amazing what new games are coming about. Anyway, love the show. Keep up the good work, and I'll keep listening. All the best. Bye.
All right. Yeah, I do remember BoardGameGeek.com. I forgot that we should have said that last show, because they did nominate us for an award a while back. Yeah, oops.
Yeah.
Well, here's an addendum to the show then.
Yes, exactly. That's right. I completely
Yeah, another addendum. One game I meant to mention on the other show about that. Great Space Race.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys play it, but awesome, pickup game.
Yeah, I played that a few months ago with Tim Kask and Jim Wampler.
Oh, you did?
Yes, at our friend.
Tim and Jim?
Yeah, yes. We played it at our local FLGS, and we had like 7-8 players going.
How many laps did you do?
Oh,
2 or 3?
I think it was 3. And
it could get crazy, didn't it?
Yeah, we had people like spinning out and actually taking the lead due to just wackiness, and then hit the point where Tim was getting cranky because he realized he wasn't going to be able to win, and it was good times. It was also amusing because Tim was looking over the rule book and just like, oh, they need to change this and edit this. They should hire me to edit this.
There's addendums on their website. So
you're right. Yeah, he was talking about that and how you had to print. There's like stuff you had to print out of the package to make the game work.
Oh yeah. Arkham Horror Mansions of Madness is like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
ratted out of the box, glorious.
Cool.
Word. All right, thank you. We have our next voicemail coming in. So let's sit back and listen to that one.
Hey guys, this is DM Angelo from Los Angeles. Just calling. I got a question, but I also wanted to kind of give a con report. I here at our local convention, Strategicon, actually it's called Orcon. I ran a first edition, first level adventure, actually written by Todd Hughes, called Pop Goes the Measle, and it is actually a pretty awesome one-shot scenario. I recommend it for that kind of occasion, but I don't know if I'm proud to report, but the adventure ended up in a TPK, and really it shouldn't have been, but basically all the players, nobody could roll over a 5, and myself, the Dungeon Master, couldn't roll under a 13. So anyways, that adventure, I think it's on Dragon's Foot, HM1, Pop Goes the Measle. It's a combination of a lot of investigation, and it's got the little dungeon at the end, and good adventure. Anyways, my question to you guys is, how do you guys handle that player who's a huge metagamer, power gamer, / annoying gamer in your campaign? I have a kind of a sandboxy campaign that I've been running with the same guys and gals for, God, I don't know, it's been over 2 years now. And matter of fact, they just entered the mode house of Hamlet. Anyways, so it's kind of the same core group of about 5-6 players, and periodically we add on people that express interest. Our group is now up to 8 players, and recently we just added somebody to it who is one of those types that studies the monster manual from front to back, and I have a real hard problem with players that can't differentiate between player and character knowledge, and kind of spoil stuff for the rest of the group. They'll go into, for instance, this last encounter. Okay, you guys see coming down the hallway a large 7-foot creature with long ears, fangs, wearing bits of chainmail, carrying whatever they are, blah, 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 blah. And instantly the particular person will blurt out, "Oh, that's got to be a bugbear." And, she's got a 3 hit die +1, and his armor class is this, blah, 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 blah. And tell them that, my DM style is just doesn't mesh with that. So how do you guys, the expert dungeon masters that you guys are, how do you guys, I'm sure you ran into this problem before, how do you guys handle it? The way I personally am going to do it, I've already made my mind up, and I've had other players express their opinions. His gaming style just doesn't mesh with our group, and so I'm going to ask him to leave. What have you guys done? I've addressed it several times on the side, various, So anyways, I want to hear from you guys what you guys do about it. Bottom line is I played and have been playing this for 30 some odd years because I love the game. I love to tell a story. I love to see the look of surprise on players' faces. All those great reasons that we got into this hobby. Anyways, and so, yeah, let me hear from you guys. All right, you guys, keep up the good work. And I hope to see you guys all at GaryCon. The lineup there is, and it's amazing. And And I got into some really good games, and I hope to see you guys there. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, DM Angelo. Well, I think it sounds like he already made up his mind what he wants to do, but as far as I'm concerned, for a player like that, I've had many of those in my group. There's a couple things you can do. One being, I don't think maybe you should kick him out right away. I think maybe you should talk to him on the side and tell him, listen, dude, that's disruptive. Can you knock it off?
It sounds like he's actually done that, and
Yeah.
the guy does it anyway, because I thought he mentioned that he's talked to him about it.
So then the other method, which I've done, and it works pretty good, is every time that player does something, you minus experience points off his total. That's all.
Yeah.
You want to ruin the game? Minus experience points. Write it down the side. Every time he does it, minus 100 experience points.
So, I'm sorry, but my impression is not only is he not just metagaming the information. I mean, because everybody might know something about. Is he acting upon it? That's the question.
It sounds like he is actively using metagaming to his character's advantage.
Yeah.
So when he said, yeah, this is a bugbear, has this much hit dice, and this is what their disposition's like, this is their alignment, blah, blah, blah. He's using that knowledge towards his character.
Right.
Definitely using that. Yeah, that's a tough one.
The easiest way to deal with that is just because the book says that's their stats doesn't mean it has to be their stats.
Exactly.
True.
So
True.
I definitely think that's a good point, but I also feel like if you make them stronger or something like that, it feels like you're punishing the whole group for that one person's
I'll make it strong.
mistakes.
Or what you can do is every time he metagames, just make a little note of it, and you just subtract that from that guy's hit to hit or something. All of a sudden, the creature has a damage resistance to that character.
Yeah, my idea was if he does that, if you're playing with a screen, he hit you, just kill off the guy's characters. I don't know. I would do the same thing he did, and just ask the guy to leave. I definitely have a friend who I don't play D&D with anymore because he does stuff like that.
He metagames the hell out of it, huh?
I don't want to get into it. It's kind of a touchy subject, but
I think the guy's right. You know, we've all seen at one time or another that one player and metagamers kind of tend to be rules lawyers too,
right?
Because they'll argue back with you. Well, in the book it says blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Your character knows the rules of the game world. Really? Is that how that works? No. I mean, your character your character is in this game world, and the game mechanics are far beyond his knowledge and everything like that, because that's part of what we're doing, not what you're.
And we would make fun of him when that came up. Like, we would be like, "Oh yeah, because your character knows about spell levels." It's
yeah. Some people just end up with that I need to win at D&D mentality.
Yeah, and that's not how it should be. It's a zero-sum game.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, everybody wins just by playing, I guess.
Yes.
Well, then just get rid of him from the group. Just be like, yeah, dude, in front of the whole entire group, like, dude, the group doesn't want you here. Get out.
Yeah, but I think, Vince had a good point. If he hasn't talked to him, talk to him. Be like, hey, man, when you do this,
right,
it bugs the crap out of me because of these reasons.
Right. It's detracting from the game because your goal for what you want out of this game is different from the rest of the group. You want to win D&D, whereas we're here to play an experience.
And he even mentioned wanting to have, he's in it for the storytelling. And I don't know. I say what you will, about having different folks in different gaming groups, but I definitely think gaming style is very important. And if you have someone who just has a different gaming style, they're just not the right fit for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You have to change. You also can change creatures around. I mean, just make it different, change their hit dice up and down.
Right.
I know, but don't penalize the other players, but sometimes you have to do that.
Right. Or you describe it like a bugbear, but it really has the stats of an ogre because it's an ogre looking like a bugbear.
And then when
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's definitely a kobold. I don't know. Is it? It could be. You don't know what one looks like. You're a new character.
Yeah.
There's some,
First level sword jock. You've never seen a kobold before. You might have heard of them.
Yeah, and then when the kobold hurtles a giant boulder at them, it'll make them think twice.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's not like there's a tag over his name like in World of Warcraft that says kobold. Or something.
Yes,
Right.
When you said tag over his name, I instantly went to a "Hi, my name is Kobold" sticker on his right breast.
Yes, ask me about my spear throw.
yes.
But yeah, there's this thing about it's a small group of it's a small demographic of the gaming community, but there are those metagamers, and they don't want to differentiate between character knowledge and player knowledge. Yes, you as a player know that, like our Bugbear example is 3+ whatever hit dice and their whatever alignment and all that jazz. Does your character know that? No.
You can actually get away with some of that in like modern-ish games. Like I know in Top Secret SI.
Right, but that's also a different genre.
Exactly. So there's times where you can like, okay, I'll let player knowledge slip in, but in fantasy, not so much. Unless you
Not
can
so
show
much,
me
no.
you've actually own a TARDIS and have went to another time stream where fairies and dragons are real, then if you can prove that, then I'll let you metagame all you want.
I had a player like that in my group I had to remove from my group just recently in the past year or so. And the group didn't like him. He kept saying, oh, that's blah, blah, blah. They're lawful evil. Like automatically he would say something like that. And it was getting annoying. And he creeped one of the girls out in the group. So I had to pull him aside and be like, dude, the group doesn't want you in the group anymore. You have to leave. I'm sorry. So
And they get belligerent about it too, don't
yeah,
they?
like people would sit on the opposite side of the table of this guy because they couldn't stand sitting on the same. Like he came in, there was people on his side. And the next week he came in, it was just him on the one side of the table.
Oh.
And when you ask those sort of people to leave, they tend to get a little. They're like, "What do you mean I gotta go? What did I do?"
No, he was. As soon as I told him, he was like, "Really? People think that about me? I'm out. No problem." And he left.
Oh wow!
He didn't give any hard. He didn't fight or anything, or.
Well, that's good.
Not like the jerk that we had as a previous DM in our gaming group here locally in Texas. He was dominating. He punished the players. He scolded them, and 2 players from the group we all went and broke off to another group, and then we told him, it might not be best for you to show up at the store anymore because no one wants to play with you anymore. So you know what he did? He took that as a threat and went to the store owner and said we threatened his life.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and tried to get us booted out, but he got himself expelled from the store.
Nice.
I was like, what an idiot. Yeah. So, all right. So, thank you, DM Angelo. And funny, we have an email from another person with a similar situation.
Oh.
This one comes from Brian H. Just have a quick question about you guys as DMs and how you've seen other PCs deal with players. That can be problem cases for the other party members of the party. Example 1. A ranger telling the entire party off and walking away from the group for no good reason after being told that we need him and he can help us out in the adventure. He still walks away. Example number 2. This is apparently the same person. A dwarf fighter telling a cleric that he doesn't care about the cleric's god and doesn't even want to be healed. Okay. Example 3. Yeah, that's weird. After just rolling up new characters, the thief instantly pickpocketing the other PCs. Number 4 example. The problem PC also has no interest in role-playing or learning how the game really works after 5 years sitting at the table, and they only want to roll ROLL combat dice. There are other smaller offenses and have all come from the one particular player that is in our group. I was just wondering how you guys have dealt with or seen other players deal with these problems. Enjoy the show. Keep up the good work. P.S. I hate Crispy.
And this is all from the same.
I'm kidding.
God.
I'm just trying to bust Crispy's balls. That's all.
So for the first 2 examples, my thoughts went to, is he a problem player or just a really good role player?
Yeah.
Because I could see someone having a dwarf who's Moradin only and the cleric of Paylor or whatever It's Greyhawk, I guess. Goes to heal him. Was like, no, you're false god. I don't want your heathen magic. I could see that working really well. Or like, the ranger walking away. I don't know if that was in character or not in character. I'm guessing it's not in character.
I think it's
the third example.
I don't know.
And this is from the same player?
Yeah, that's what he said.
And they've dealt with it for 5 years.
How about 3 and 4, Crispy?
For 3, that's kind of... There's always a thing when you have new players and they're playing a thief and they just want to steal everything. And you're just like, come on, guy. We need to get this adventure on the road. It's expected, I guess. I play with a lot of new people. One of my favorite things to do is introduce like D&D to new people. But yeah, like in our Edge of Empire game, we have someone who's playing a thief and they just want to steal everything. And I don't know. As for number 4 was only wanting to roll combat dice. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that... I can't say anything about that because, like, D&D can be played a lot of different ways, and I don't think any way is more valid than any other, unless it's, like, different than how I play, but that's a different story.
Some people don't like roleplay.
Some people don't. Like, who... Yeah. I don't remember which podcast it was because I've just been on all of them, and somebody was telling a story. I want to say it was Save or Die about the old days and when they first started in like the 70s, and all they did was kick in doors and slaughter stuff, and that was like how they had fun.
Murder hobos.
We did it on an episode of Critical Wits as well. Like we brought it up. Like killing fake stuff with dice is fun. It's
everyone has to get it out of their system.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And some people won't roll like ROLE play. They want to ROLL play, and that's okay. Like there's different play styles. But if it doesn't fit for your group, like talk to them.
Right.
But the funny thing is about that email is it's like different play styles from the one character over the years.
Yeah.
That's the mind-boggling thing. It's like I would expect that from like one player over the years, like one play style. But it sounds like this person's like been all over the map.
Yeah. Sounds like
they'll like it, and it almost sounds like, well, you know what? If they didn't like me playing this way, I'm just going to fling dice.
Yeah. Sounds like he's just
sounds like they're just
obstinate.
They're being obstinate. They're being a little obstinate baby.
And like 5 years is a really long time to put yourself through that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time for an intervention.
Yeah.
Lack of players, and you had no choice, and one of those situations.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess the question is a bad gaming session better than no gaming session?
My personal feeling is no.
Yeah, I would rather have no gaming session than a bad session.
Yeah,
absolutely. I always thought quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Let me see. Number 1 was a ranger telling the entire party off and walking away from the group for no good reason after being told that we need him and he can help us out in the adventure. So that is from a character point of view.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that's another thing that you get with, like, that's a very new player kind of thing. I hate when you try to get the group together and you don't start with the assumption that they all know each other.
Yeah.
And you introduce them, and there's always that one dude who's like, oh, I have to be aloof and not help out because my character doesn't trust these people. And it's like, I want to get to the adventure. I stop being a diva.
Yeah.
That's why when I start my games, I'm always just like, everybody knows each other and we're not going through that BS.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah, that's why I have a character creation session where we work all that stuff out as we're making our characters.
That's what I'm doing for my next campaign. We're going to have like player session 0. We're creating characters and we're going to establish how everybody knows each other.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, it kind of worked out when we did Book of Sorrows, Crispy. Everybody kind of just meshed together when we did that group.
Yeah. Well, I tried not to be aloof as well, like personally.
You took over the entire show pretty much.
I don't know how that happened. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think the key to having those sort of sessions where you want to just play in game, how everyone meeting each other, is everyone take the approach that you do when you're doing improv. Yes. You never say no. You always go yes and add to it.
Yes. Yeah, that's actually a rule that I use for my DMing. Like, I have a rule of just not saying no. For most things, of course, there's like, oh, I want to shoot an arrow at the moon and deflate it because it's made out of and it's just, yeah. Or like, okay, yeah, you can try.
Right. It's always yes, but never no.
Yeah.
I rolled a 20. I don't care if you roll a 27. You're not going to hit the moon, dude.
Well, you hit a moon, but it wasn't the moon you were aiming for. There was a man over in the corner who dropped trowel.
That's right, and his name was Trask.
Oh, you succeed, but that's no moon.
I guess this guy with the email sounds like he's this player's being obstinate. I guess you got to tell him to go. Because he's like all over the map of what he wants to do as far as role playing. Right. Either he's going to get totally into his character and just not do anything with the party, versus on the other end of the spectrum, I'm just going to sit there and roll combat dice.
Yeah,
you should have the big bag.
Pick one.
You should have the big bag come out of nowhere, rip his head and spine out of the character's body, and then eat it, and then throw him out of the group.
There you go.
Metal.
Yeah, I like it.
There you go. No, I'm kidding. Just talk to the person. And if it obviously probably 5 years, you've probably said something to them. I hope.
Yeah.
If you haven't, at least talk to them and say your problem, dude.
Right.
Get out. If it's a situation of players and you're just allowing them to sit there because you need the extra player, it's not worth it. Just have someone else play another character.
Right.
Or put an NPC character in there in his place if you have to. I mean, unless it's like 2 people and that's one of the 2 people.
Yeah. Well, they did make solo modules, so you can even run solo campaigns.
Like, even if it's a matter of not having enough people, you can find people. Like, I think we did a podcast about this at some point. I don't know. So many
blurred
shows.
together, Crispy.
Everything blurs together. A lot of people still don't understand what D&D is. It's its 40th year this year.
Yeah.
And there are people who have never played or don't understand what it is, which is really interesting to me because everyone knows, like, video games.
Yeah.
But D&D is still fairly underground.
It's underground.
Well,
it's
still thought of as the evil satanic game.
Yeah. It's not
that
as
game
mainstream.
where all those geeks and nerds play. They all dress up.
Right, yeah. They know... They've heard of Dungeons and Dragons, but they don't understand.
And they have a preconceived notion of what it is, but it's oftentimes not correct.
Right.
So, like, go to your office and just be like, hey, do you guys want to play this game? Like, you can get more people. I guarantee it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people have actually either played or heard of it and want to.
Right.
So
It was like I was at a Half Price Books looking in the section, and I saw one of my coworkers there looking in the RPG section as well. I'm like, oh, you gamed? Yeah, I game. Oh. Unfortunately, he was moving to San Antonio shortly thereafter, so I couldn't. Wow. But it was like he had been gaming for years and like started on like 2nd edition. It was just like never coming up.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. He actually even had his kids playing 4th, so everyone has different tastes, even if they like crappy.
Oh,
I like that game as a game.
Yeah, it's
as long as it wasn't called D&D.
Yeah, it's really it's a great tactical miniatures game with some role playing on top.
Yeah, I like doing cool abilities and stuff, but like for a go-to role playing game, I
don't like it when I have to use a 6-page flow chart to make my character. So
all right, let's not bash other editions. That's not what it's about.
Besides, it's recently departed. We need to be nice to it.
Yeah, let's let me put my DM Brian from Thaco's Hammer hat on and coordinate here. Come on, guys, let's not make fun of anyone else.
Okay.
Be the politician. Fine. Yeah, so that's our emails for this week, and voicemails, rfistaff@gmail.com. Head to the website, rfipodcast.com, and click on Contact Us, and you can fill out the form in case you're not near your email, which I don't know why you wouldn't be, but just in case, fill out that form. Go to our Facebook page, Facebook.com/RFI Podcast, and rosrgaming.org, where you can find all our wonderful podcasts, including the Dead Game Society podcast, which has debuted its second episode as of this recording. Third episode is being edited, so we should see that soon. And that's dgsociety.net if you want to go directly. They are searchable on iTunes, finally. And also Crispy's show, Critical Wits. Crispy, what's your address for that? I forget.
criticalwits.info.
Okay. Where he should have a show from 1927 coming out soon, right? Crispy.
That's right. We're going to talk about them live little... I got nothing, actually. I can't.
I got nothing.
This bit's dead.
Anyway, so yeah, let's head into our next segment.
Typical. Of all the evil creatures in the world, I'd like to find one with table manners.
What are you kidding me? I spent years cultivating the worst table manners on the planet.
Table manners.
Okay, everybody, in Table Manners this week, we're going to do a review of a product, and then we'll get later on to maybe a larger scope what this product is about. And what we're going to talk about is a product by a group called Mobius Adventures, and it's from MobiusAdventures.com. We'll put that in the show notes. And it looks like it's going to be a series of different types of, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it, I guess dungeon dressing.
Yeah.
And Brick by Brick is what the series is going to be called. And we're going to start with their first in the series called Doors. And basically how you can make doors interesting in your dungeon or pretty much anywhere else. What this door is made of, what sort of hinges, all sorts of things. So let's get right on into it about this product by Mobius Adventures.
Just want to quickly jump in. It's by Brian Fitzpatrick in Mobius Adventures, and it's highly recommended on RPG Now. A lot of people like this because it not only does it give you the steps of just creating a door, but it gives you everything like the purpose of the door, the location of the door, who made the door, the materials, how it's opened, the conditions of when you opened it. And it gives a big adventure, not big adventure, it's a big description of how things come together. So you can see how to do these 1 through 6 steps in this small little PDF. So I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at this because we're going to start looking at some OSR created material in the field. Mm-hmm. So if you guys have products out there that you want us to review on the show, just give us a holler at rfistaff@gmail.com, and if it's related to first edition or can be translated into first edition easily by us, give us a shout out and attach your product there or a link that we can grab your product, and we'll let you know when we can put it on the show if it falls into the guidelines.
Yeah, this one definitely does. It's pretty much edition neutral, which is good.
Yeah, you could use this with anything.
Yeah, you can use it with anything, but right from the beginning, they talk about, why have a little supplement about how to create doors? Well, it's some more window dress, and I don't say window dressing. It's a door. It's window dressing. No, but it adds more to what's just a portal you got to go in and out of. It makes things a little more interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely more interesting than the roll a d6 to see if the door is stuck or not.
Right. And there's a few little charts, and there's also added to this, I think, was it, how many pages this PDF? 14 pages? 14 pages. There's also a flow chart. And I'm going to kind of go to the flow chart because it's just perfect. Basically, you start with the purpose of the door. Is it built to keep things in or out? And this could be all totally randomly determined. So you just flip a coin. Is it for heads out, tails in, whatever? And then part of that in its purpose is it made to keep noise out?
Yeah. Was it designed to be used
for security?
Things like that.
Right. Yeah. Is it for just decoration?
Distraction.
Is it for safety? Yeah, distraction. So you kind of build upon that. So you have your purpose of your door. Then, where located in the wall that it's in, where is it? Is it ground level? Is there a small, medium, or high sill of the door? What's the shape of the door? And you got some interesting shapes. You got arched, oval, triangular. It's shaped like a keyhole. So you got some interesting door shapes that you can make. You have to randomly determine what you want, or you can always pick and choose if you're the dungeon master. You can always pick what you want. You got the make of the door. Who was it made by?
Yeah,
could make an interesting backstory to it. I'm kind of like looking at this like this would be really cool stuff. For example, if you were in a city campaign and you had like like maybe a high leveled wizard, and you're making a interesting door to the wizard's alchemist lab. This is one of those things you could definitely use this for. If you want to make that door interesting and maybe a little bit not just interesting, but kind of how would I put it? It's definitely maybe a force to be reckoned with in a way.
Right.
It'll make it a challenge. That's, I guess, the word I'm looking for.
Yes.
So you have the maker of it. Was it like an artist or a slave? Was it a mason or a prisoner? A whole bunch of, and the reason what it was it made for protection, or was it made for, like it was an honorable thing to make? Maybe it's,
I do like
whoever craftsman that made it, maybe has very elaborate carvings.
there are some really good examples that he gives under each step when you look in there.
Yeah.
I do like the one that was this was made by a prisoner forced to work for occupying forces rigged this door to collapse after opening a certain number of times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the players won't know this, but as a DM, you have that little background like, hey, maybe this is the time that'll happen, or this is what happened.
Yeah. And it's just a few sentences too, So the tables kind of help you with your imagination going along. It's like, okay, so like the one example he has, it was built by a stonecutter and Reason made legacy. He says a master stonecutter built this door with his own hands, personally selecting each and every stone and leaving his maker's mark on every detailed carving. So makes it kind of interesting. So you definitely got a stone door there.
That's
and then you got
random.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So everything is random. There's all random charts under each step, so you don't have to sit around and pick it. You could just roll it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do either roll. You could roll it or you can pick it, wherever you think might be best. And then you got the materials. And of course, all your standard woods that would be made for a door. You got oak, teak, mahogany. If I had a door made of mahogany in a dungeon or someplace like that, I guarantee whatever group I had, they would take that door off its hinges.
Now, actually, I think they would take some of the doors a little further down on the list. Diamond door.
Yeah, diamond.
Emerald, rubies.
Rubies made of gold plating.
Yeah. Considering my group one time stole chairs.
Type, you got paneled.
Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, my group steals everything. If it's not bolted down, it's going. They're taking it and it's going on the wagon. They always have a wagon.
Yeah, my group one time stole dining room chairs because they were really nice chairs.
Yeah.
So they would gladly steal the door.
Sure, absolutely. If it was made by mahogany or redwood, if it was obsidian, they're like, obsidian, that's a cool looking door. We're taking that.
Good luck.
But you have the construction type on them. So you got like single pane paneled. I thought that was kind of interesting. A folding door, yeah. So you could have like a folding door in your dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be pretty cool. So, and some of the examples that he gives is, what was this? A diamond door with bars. So it's a diamond bars block this doorway. A pressure plate on the opposite side appears to be stuck with a rusty dagger holding the door locked securely. So some interesting things there as far as, the materials they have made the door.
It goes even next.
And then you go into opening. And who wants to go on with that? Because I've been babbling enough.
The opening of the door will tell you how it opens, like a swing hinge, a roll, a fold, a slide, a twist, a screw. Sounds like a song I just made up.
Yeah.
And then you could do, if it's automated, manual. I mean, if it's barred, it has a lock and key, hidden switch or button, or it's unlocked. So some examples would be, let's pick a fold manual bar. You roll that. A light pine folding door blocks the hallway before you. It appears to fold accordion style to one side of the door frame, barred on your side of the door with a rotten oak board. You wonder why anyone would try to stop someone from leaving this room. That's just
I found that entry really interesting. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you move on to the next step is with condition of the door. Has it been damaged? Is it impassable? What's been happened? So you can say you can roll in the charts and get a rusted, closed door that's been sitting that way for eons, or it's impossible to tell how long. An example is, as you approach the arched doorways, the golden plated bars reflect your torchlight. You can see where someone has attempted to melt the bars, exposing the steel beneath the shiny exterior. Obviously centuries old by now. Not only does it appear to be locked, but someone has shoved a spike through the keyhole. So there's an example of what you can get from those charts.
Mm-hmm.
And then he finally goes and says, now step number 7 is putting it all together, and he shows you like 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He goes through all the steps and then gives you what the description was. So he does the purpose, the location, the maker, the materials, the opening, and the condition, and then gives you a big description of what he's rolled up. He puts his thoughts in there of why he picked this and why he picked that, as if you were the DM. I won't spoil that whole section for you because it's an interesting read. But
about the description he finally came up with?
Yeah, I won't do any of that because he pulls it all together and you're kind of like, oh, cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. It's like 2 short paragraphs, and it's great stuff.
And then he goes into doing you an example of a dungeon with door number 1 for the dungeon, and then he does the whole stat out for that door number 1, and then he does door number 2. As you could probably use this for your adventure. It sounds like a really good setup for some creepy monster hiding inside of some type of dungeon somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has an appendix at the back of it where it actually pulls the door apart and shows you where the rail of the door is, the jamb of the door, the panel with little pictures and diagrams so you can understand what a door looks like and what he's describing.
Yeah, all the different bits and pieces of what makes up a door that you might see in a dungeon.
Yeah. And after that, he just gives basically a plug for his own website and his system neutral supplements where you can find more, which is MobiusAdventures.com. Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Overall, I'm going to have to definitely say for using in my game, it's going to be very valuable to me, especially for those big, bad, doors I want to put in. You don't have to do it for every door unless you want to be anal like that. But no, I would say this would be for the special doors in your campaign. You would use this.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking. You're going to use this in those really special areas like that alchemist lab I gave, for example, or maybe a doorway. The one example the one thing I was just thinking of out of my head, in those doors that have the runes in Temple of Elemental Evil, that lock out Zutmoy. Oh, spoiler alert. There you go. But anyway, I would think you would use that in those sorts of situations. Some in our area or going into an area that is going to be special. So that's how I would use it. I can definitely use this. Probably my new oncoming campaign where I believe the majority of the party is going to be thief or thief multi-class types. So definitely making the doors more interesting to those sorts of players will be really up their alley.
Right. Considering when you have lots of thieves, they want to check every door, no matter what, it seems like. So this will be handy to make it give that little potential of, well, he didn't really describe the door in all that detail, so there's probably nothing there. With this, you can just quickly rattle off something that makes them think, he knows a little too much about this door. We need to be leery.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely a great little product, and right now it's even on sale at DriveThruRPG.
Just looking at that.
Yeah.
But by the time this comes out, it'll probably be back at its regular price of $1.99.
Right. So even at full price, worth it.
For $2, you can get all this description for your super fancy doors in your campaign. Well worth the shelling out $2. I would definitely pay for this.
I don't know, guys. That's cutting into my king-size candy bar fund.
Oh, no. You just got to wait a week for that king-size candy bar.
Okay, well, if you split the cost with the rest of your gaming group, you might have to downgrade to a regular size candy bar.
Bob, you owe me 25 cents. Darren, 30 cents.
Yes.
There you go. You're already on your way.
There you go.
You know what? I was just thinking about this PDF of the doors thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can modify this and maybe use this for other things like chests.
I would definitely say so. Yeah, except you use the moving parts. Maybe. Actually, you probably could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking through it, like some of this might be useful, like if you want to make unique kind of chests.
Yeah.
So
it has more than one usage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, from the material standpoint, you could use that for just about anything.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any sort of furniture or even building structure. The concept of having a diamond treasure chest greatly amuses me.
Oh, you couldn't break into it.
No.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I like this product, I guess, because it's a great springboard. It reminds me a lot of the Dungeon Alphabet by Goodman Games.
Yeah, that was fun too.
Yeah. Like you guys said, I wouldn't use this for every door, but it made me stop and think. Like, I've never ever thought about having doors of different age in a dungeon.
Neither have I.
It's something you just gloss over, but it's like, of course they would. Like, one door gets used too much and a hinge breaks, or maybe they have a break-in and somebody broke down the door, so they have to build a new one.
I never thought of, like, the maker of the door. How could that be important?
Right? Yeah.
You know? I'm like, oh, well, that's how it could be.
Yeah. You could almost even just randomly generate a door and use that as an exercise in encounter creation.
Yeah.
I've created this door with a rusty hinge that opens inward. And, okay, what would be on the other side of this door? That makes sense. It was constructed by slaves out of some cheap pine, and its hinges are rusted. And you could just start going from there, and who knows what you could come up with just by using this as like a spark.
Mm-hmm.
Even riffing off of that, like you think encounter, you fight some monsters, or there's a trap, but coming up against like a really cool door that has like a puzzle to it or something like that.
Oh yeah,
would be an encounter in itself. Yeah,
absolutely.
Word.
So how many dragons do we give it?
That's Saber Die Podcast.
I know.
We do swords here.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say 4.5 swords out of 5. How about you, Nick?
I would definitely, 4.5 swords out of 5. You betcha.
And Matt?
Yeah, I'm going in that 4.5 as well. I mean, it's a great little product that does what it sets out to do very well.
And CRISPR?
I'm also going to go with the 4.5 swords out of 5, especially when you take into account that it's the same price as a king-size candy bar.
Yes.
For the price of a king-size Kit Kat, you can get doors.
This is something you can use over and over again.
Right. Yeah, it is. I love the how utilitarian it is.
I also really like that it's like completely system neutral.
Yes.
It's you could use it with basically any fantasy game, not just D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, I don't even think this is necessarily an OSR product.
No,
this is a product for any system. And I'm actually going through some of Mobius Adventure's other products. They have a series called Little Spaces, one on shipwrecks. And
wow.
And it's basically this type of product, except it's about shipwrecks. So, and that's only like 86 cents. And so, yeah, there's this all kinds of stuff. They have books on fantasy names, scary basements.
I was just looking at that one, too, for 86 cents right now on sale.
Scary basements? You mean every basement?
Oh, crispy.
Christopher Walken's basement. It's a lot of dead things. Wow.
Right. Anyway. Go home, Christopher Walken.
Fine.
They do have their blog at MobiusAdventures.com, and I'm looking at their blog right now, so they do have some things coming along the way. So they have one coming, Story Seed Design. Will get you... that looks like that'd be interesting. I might have to read that article.
Well, they also have another Little Spaces Fancy Meals.
Yeah.
So when the players go into the tavern and order food, you can actually generate... This is what they have for a menu.
That's cool. We need that.
Yes.
Yeah, and I could, when I went to the website and all the different stuff, you could tell that this is a labor of love, you know, because when you read about Mobius Adventures, you'll understand why.
Yeah, definitely the whole setup of what happened with the company and everything. But we'll let you reading you that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have something else made by Mobius Adventures.
You might.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I've seen this before. I would definitely like to see more of this kind of product, just in general. I have talked about it before, but I hate preparing. I hate it. I hate preparing. It's the worst part of D&D.
Yeah.
For me, at least. And having stuff that act as springboards would kind of make it go a little bit better for me.
Right. Yeah, these products remind me of things that could be inserts in, like, AEG's Ultimate Toolbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, except these go into... Whereas the Ultimate Toolbox has a lot of stuff, but it's very general, and it doesn't go into a lot of depth. This can actually take you deeper into it and give you more detail than that would. So, good stuff.
Yeah, RPG now has a ton of really good, or Drive-Thru. I guess they're pretty much the same site.
Yeah, they're the same company, but for whatever reason, they still have two separate branding.
And they're no different. Just the color and the title is just the difference, as far as I can see.
Yeah, because they used to be two different companies, and then they merged, and I don't know why they still keep the two companies separate. But
the libraries are...
It's like Seattle's Best and Starbucks are owned by the same company.
Right.
I had to click...
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, mine totally blown.
I had to click on a game called Dude Run. I don't know. It was just sitting there staring at me. Dude Run is a competitive storytelling game of reality TV paranormal investigation. So I had to see what that was about. Give them
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, give a little plug because the name Dude Run just sounds awesome, and it has gotten 4 out of 5 stars, and it is for $4 as a PDF. So,
did you read over here the Little Spaces Fancy Meals?
Yeah,
kind of couple of blurbs. I love them.
Yeah,
they're great. This is some really cool stuff.
Sweet. Anyway. So that's the deal. The only thing I would have liked to see more is maybe some pictures along the way during the creation of maybe just like an example door after we rolled it up. That would have been kind of... I mean, I understand you probably didn't want to tap an artist and have to pay somebody, but that would have been kind of cool to see like a star door or a keyhole door or something. You know, just some little picture would have been kind of cool.
Yeah, the artwork used in it was actually public domain stuff found off the Gutenberg project.
So, I'm sure he could have tapped someone on DeviantArt and said, "Listen, dude, do you mind donating some art?" Most 90% of those artists are like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Or they could have just used Glenn Hellstrom.
Yes, we will get Glenn in all the projects.
Now. Yes, every project ever.
We'll just book him without telling him and just say, "Here's the stack of art you need to generate now."
He'll go, "What?"
Well, I've got him involved with the new Mazes and Perils books, and I've also got DM Corey donating some art as well for the new book. So, let's move it along. Anyway, I think we should go into our next segment.
I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but I have a very particular set of skills. Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
And now we're going into DM rules, and we're just going to talk about, now that you have these descriptions for these doors that are all fancy with all the details of the hinges, the material, the craftsmanship. Now, how do you handle this from a gaming perspective? Especially when your players probably want to kick it down and break it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you want to go about, like, maybe distinguishing by the different types of wood or metals? Like, for some reason, I find it highly amusing if it was like a pine door. They go and like hack it with their axe, and next thing you know, their axe is covered in sap and sticky. Kind of would get in the way of chopping a little bit. Or if you have that diamond door, you know your players are going to want to figure out how to steal it. Because yeah, that happens a lot. Especially with my group. They would probably steal it, then figure out a way to make it like a boat.
Make it like a boat?
Yes, they would.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure diamonds don't float.
No.
I'm no, like, mineralogist or geologist, I guess, but pretty sure diamonds are not buoyant.
Sink. Yeah.
I don't know. If you listen to the Villagers of Monty Python, little pebbles float. Same with bricks
Very
and
small
stone.
rocks.
Yes.
Cider.
Yes. If the diamond door weighs as much as a duck,
then it floats. Wood. And it's a witch.
Yes, then you must burn it.
Burn it.
Burn it. But when coming to dealing with these,
Yeah, but what about, like, not just, the doors, but walls and floors and whatnot, and all the materials that they could be, and
yeah, I mean, probably the most quickest way to deal is if you just go to page 80 of the DMG and look at the saving throws for the various materials. That'll give you a starting point if you want to use them if they feel the need to, like, start hurling magic missiles or fireballs at them. But I don't know. I've just never been a huge fan of using that saving throw chart, especially when it comes to dealing with inanimate objects that aren't actually on player characters. So it's like, how would, like, you guys handle if, like, say there was this stone door and all they had were, like, their axes and swords, and they wanted to, like, bash it in?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I would say, okay, what's your open doors roll?
Yeah.
Go ahead and try.
But would you make a distinction between the different material types with that open doors? Maybe have a modifier saying...
I would have a modifier in mind. Yeah. I would, absolutely. If it was made of stone...
To just open it or to bash it in?
Bash it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about bashing it down. Yeah, there would be some modifier that I would have. If it was metal, stone, wood, made of feathers, I don't know.
Yeah. I kind of just go with, I logic it. So, like, if you're going to use an axe against a stone door, you're going to break your axe.
Yes.
And I like making them, I would make them out of unusual substances too, like pudding. So,
a gelatinous cube door?
Yes. Oh yeah. Now you're speaking my language.
Yes. Rust monster door.
Ooh. Kentucky Fried Chicken door?
Yes.
Crispy.
Oh, a living wall door.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. Yes. I would also, or you make it out of a substance that appears like something else. Give you an example. Yeah, you got a door. It's made out of wood. It looks like it's made out of, maybe it's made out of oak. Yeah. Maybe out of pine, not sure, but it's some sort of hardwood. At least you think it is.
Right.
It's actually made out of hollow, it's a hollow balsa wood.
Oh.
So they're trying to ram through the door. Guess what? They're going to go right through.
You burst through like Kool-Aid Man.
Pit on the other side.
Yes. That's probably something in one of the Grimtooth's Traps books.
Yeah, I have all 4 of those.
Yeah, which that would actually be a good way to deal with the group that wants to break everything. Just get those books and steal some ideas.
Make a door out of balsa, and they ram through it. Have a 100-foot pit on the other side, like I said, and see what happens next time.
Or you could kind of in the same vein, pull like a Wile E. Coyote and paint a door onto the wall.
Oh, the illusionary door.
There you go.
It's an illusion. They try to pick it. It doesn't work. Nothing works. So we're going to bash it, and they just run into a wall.
I would think that the characters would figure out it's a painting on the wall before, while trying to pick the lock, hopefully. I mean,
it's magic. They have to roll to disbelieve.
Yes. No, it's a
painting.
an illusionary door that on the other side's a sphere of annihilation.
Oh, that's very Gygax.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be something Gary would do.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, you'd want to also maybe figure in how rusty the hinges are. Maybe as they go to try to bash it, it actually falls on them because the hinges give way before the door itself does. The collapsing door would always be amusing.
So you have that for doors. What about, walls, ceilings, and floors? What could we do with those as far as, materials?
Well, first, when it comes to walls and whatnot, I would first think, what type of craftsmanship are we talking about? Is this the slave with the breakaway wall? Or is this the artisan with the mortar reinforced with a steel plate behind it brick wall?
Right.
Also taking into account how thick is the wall.
Yes.
Right.
Right, because you never know what your players may want to actually start tunneling like they're in Sing Sing or something.
I'm thinking like when I'm doing the one campaign with Temple of Elemental Evil, if I remember, like on the dungeon levels for the walls and everything, when they're talking about Gary and I think Frank too, when they wrote that, one of the things they talk about is for the construction of the dungeon, the walls and what they're made of, but also airflow and drainage.
Right.
If I remember correctly, there's like every few feet, there's like a maybe I don't know if it's a steel grate, but there's an opening for water flow, so the dungeon doesn't flood.
Yeah. Right. And if you had stone floors with water on it, they get rather slick if you try to move fast. Next thing you know, you're taking pratfalls as you're trying to rush through this stone floor that has a little bit of water built up on it.
Right. A lot of, like the material, especially in marble too. Oh my gosh, marble when it gets wet, good luck.
Yeah. Right. And you can also use that as a storytelling thing as well. If it's like a low light situation where the players really can't see all that well what the floor is, you could be, you're walking along and it's like, okay, it's stone. You can feel it. Then all of a sudden you feel like you're walking on dirt.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, what's going on here?
Yeah. Cause certain types of materials they might be a little more porous than others. Like brick is rather porous.
Right.
It'll absorb water like crazy. Marble, on the other hand, it repels it. So
yeah. Right. And then you could also think, just for the construction, why is this area marble? Because marble back then's rather difficult to work with and expensive.
Very expensive, yes.
So if there's marble floors, they're there for a reason. It's just like, hey, we got some excess marble laying around, let's use it for a floor. No.
I can tell you one thing marble is resistant to is acid.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe there's a black dragon around. Who knows?
Right. It's a black dragon lair with acid, and those pools of liquid on the ground are actually acid.
Yeah,
not water.
You could use it as a trap and just have a marble floor, and then have some kind of like chute that shoots water. Like maybe it's slanted in some way, like a marble ramp or something like that, like a hallway that leads down. And a pressure plate that triggers like a flow of water into it so that they can't keep their balance, and it just becomes this giant chute.
It becomes a medieval slip and slide.
Yeah, it does. There you go. Yeah. Exactly. What about like other materials? I guess like I said, brick and limestone. Limestone's rather porous too, isn't it?
Right, but also isn't limestone would also erode rather well.
Yeah.
Over time.
So
you could get rather perhaps there's some water flow, and you could actually talk about the wearing into the limestone of this water, and they could be like, where's this water coming from?
I could think of instances like that because some of us have been in caves and spelunking in our day, maybe.
Yeah.
In a real world, and a lot of these caves where there are paths through, they're not flat paths.
No.
There's going to be wear, and there's going to be some wear. It's going to be a kind of a slight divot into the ground.
Right. And perhaps one of those areas is weared a little more than others and is a little unstable. And when the large paladin in full plate goes stepping on it, it starts to give way.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm.
So you could start making the floors and terrain a hazard, not an intentional one, just one that's a side effect of just existing.
Right. Yeah, this is where it's like it's all coming together with the doors, and now we're talking about walls, ceilings, floors, whatever. It's where the dungeon itself, the physical environment of the dungeon is becoming it becomes a hazard, right. Has its own little quirks, almost has its own personality in a way.
Right. Because like your walls and doors, if there could be water leaking through one of the walls, just a little drip or one wall is damp, or water's flowing under a door and the bottom of the door starting to wear away. So yeah, there's lots that can be done, and you could take a dungeon, strip all the encounters, all the stuff out, just describe it empty, and then build upon it.
You could almost make the dungeon itself without any encounters be a challenge in itself.
Right, just getting through this dungeon with nothing in it other than it being existing, and have that be a challenge.
That would be interesting.
Especially considering at that point the players would probably be searching every nook and cranny, wondering, there has to be something in here.
Yeah. But damn it, we've found so many pits, and we've had acid poured on us, and
little did they know, the wizard that was using this as his lair actually moved out a few weeks ago and took all the stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
It's actually vacant, and the only thing in it is a couple squatters.
His tower was like, it was deemed condemned by the duchy.
Yes. He missed the mortgage payments, so he got evicted.
It's been vacant for the past couple of years now.
Right.
But like, rumor has it that there's something in there.
Right. It's like when you go and look at photos like abandoned buildings, or I really like looking at photos of abandoned amusement parks. They like fascinate me.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool.
We got one right up the road from me.
Yeah, Lake Euclid?
No, well, actually, Jaga Lake.
Oh yeah.
Jaga Lake?
Yeah.
Is abandoned?
Yeah, they only have the water park side now.
Right.
Oh, man.
The amusement park side's been closed for years now.
Yeah, because when Cedar Point bought it, they ended up closing the amusement park side.
Yeah.
Ghost town now?
It pretty much is. The only side that works is the Jaga Lake Wild Water Park.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's a seasonal thing, so.
Yeah. There's one not too far from me, Americana Amusement Park. The parking lot's actually a RV dealership, but they still have the front gate up, and you can see satellite photos of the old buildings. Most of the rides have been removed, but I think maybe one of the wooden coasters may still stand.
Yeah, one of the wooden coasters is still here. Supposedly it went up for auction, and whoever that got auctioned off to, they reneged on it, and it's been rotting there ever since, which is kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because it's a very old wooden roller coaster. But kind of with our topic, it's where a place like that becomes an adventure in itself.
Right. Maybe like an abandoned village.
And
I have a friend who frequently goes to Centralia. Do you guys know about Centralia?
No.
In like central Pennsylvania. It was a coal mining town, and they had a fire in the mine.
Where the coal fires.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's still burning underneath. And they had to evacuate the whole city.
That's been going on for 40, 50 years now?
Something
longer?
like that, yeah. But he goes there all the time and just like walks around and explores.
Yeah.
But yeah,
because even the environment itself can be a hazard.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe they built this dungeon and then they realized, oh wait, we hit this coal mine while it's excavating, and it lit on fire, and it's still burning, and that's why it's empty.
They dug too greedily, too deep.
Yes. So, yeah, lots that can be done, and you could even look at real-world examples of nature overtaking abandoned structures for just ideas to add to the ambiance of like a dungeon or an ancient city that's been abandoned or a tomb. because
Yeah.
there's just so much that can be done that doesn't involve monsters or mystical, magical things. Just nature itself can be pretty creepy and threatening when it wants to be.
Yeah. One thing I've always wanted to do is take the floor plans from the mansion from the first Resident Evil.
Yes.
And use that as an adventure and just put people in that and like even have it filled with zombies and stuff like that.
Oh man, that'd be good.
Yeah, it's like I've wanted to use H.H. Holmes' Castle, the serial killer, when he built.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I've got the floor plans for floors 2 and 3, but I haven't been able to find floor plans for the first floor that had like the shops and whatnot on it. So, but yeah, that thing was laid out like a drunken DM used the random generation chart. When you look at the layout and the room structure and the random doors that aren't actually doors and the hidden passageways and everything. Wow. So, very interesting stuff. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So some food for thought for our listeners. Hopefully we can get their imaginations a churning and, email us. Send us a message on our forums. Call us and see what you've come up for your dungeons to make the doors and the walls, ceilings, floors a little more interesting and almost make the dungeon itself the adventure. Besides all the things that might be in it.
Yeah, download it. Tell us what your thoughts of it are. We'll leave some feedback for the author. We appreciate it. And look at their other products as well. Again, if you have anything you want us to review on the podcast, rfistaff@gmail.com and hit us up with what your product might be, and we'll get back to you.
Absolutely.
Or call us 570-865-4210, the hotline, and leave us a voicemail expressing whatever issue you'd like to express.
Dwarven miners are standing by.
With barf bags. So that's going to wrap up the show this week. Crispy, we appreciate you stopping by once again.
Thanks for having me. Sorry that I alienate your fans.
Those are just the weak stomach ones. So there's not many of those.
Stay tuned next week because we're going to review another product, but we're not going to say what because
it's going to be good.
Oh,
hey, I don't want to ruin the surprise.
It's going to
it's going to be fun.
It's going to be mad. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
The Roll for Initiative podcast is a production of Wild Games Productions in association with D20Radio.com. You can visit us at rfipodcast.com or contact us on our forums at osrgaming.org or even by calling us at 570-865-4210. This podcast is produced for entertainment purposes only. All other uses are prohibited. And remember, if your magic missile spell doesn't automatically hit, you're playing the wrong edition. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative.
Post-show?
So welcome to just a little wrap-up after the show for us to chat. If you don't care to listen, please tune off now. This is nothing really.
So saw it off.
Yeah. Wow. Jeez, Nick. Wow.
Wow. So you want them to not listen to this and listen to Save or Die?
Why listen?
Oh, no. Listen to us. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen to us. If this is mostly just chatter, we're going to add to the end of the show talking about D&D next because Crispy is more experienced in it, and some people will have questions. So let's give the floor to the man that holds the record for most barf bags from people in the audience, Crispy.
So we were talking before the show about people's experiences in this podcast. It's Vince. I was trying to sugarcoat things, but Vince was like, "Man, I ain't even like D&D Next." Also, Vince is from like Compton, I guess. I don't know.
I am.
Yeah, you didn't know?
Oh, you didn't know?
So we were talking about like the skill system. I know, Vince, one thing that you don't like about D&D Next is it uses the D20 rules.
Nah, the D20 rules gives me a headache after a while.
I agree. Like in the show, they were talking about the Pathfinder card game or board game or something like that. I was like, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah,
because god dang sick of Pathfinder that I have not kept up with that game in.
Oh wow, you used to be a big Pathfinder guy.
I know. I mean, do you remember? I made a forum post on osrgaming.org/forums. You should go there.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I made a forum post about how I'm just sick of Pathfinder. That was like 2010, maybe.
Wow.
I have not played Pathfinder. I won't play Pathfinder.
No kidding.
Yeah. I just there's so many rules in that game. Like, and if that's your thing, that's fine. But for me personally, I want something that plays fast. I want something that I can modify on the fly, and I feel that you can't do that. And I definitely agree with Vince that it gives me a headache because it's like, oh, what's the rule for that? You can't make it up because there is a rule. And we talked earlier in this show about like the rules lawyers and power gamers. And it's just like, oh, I'm going to make something up. Oh, that's not how it's run. You need to do it this way because the book says it this way. And it's like, no, I'm just going to do it this way.
Yeah, you can't exchange experience gold pieces for experience points and just take that out.
Yeah, it's...
Nick, stop it now.
I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there as an example.
Yeah, so one thing I like about D&D Next is how they have the skill system in the earlier playthroughs, or the earlier playtests, and the final playtest is they're divorced from ability scores. Yep. So it's just like, I'm good at this thing. And granted, like, Perfect World, I wouldn't have any kind of skill system, but for right now, it's sort of just like, it's a good in-between. They did have an earlier playtest where they had skills tied to ability scores, and it's not the right way to go. One thing I'm really interested in, and I've talked about this on my show, is the simple characters. You get ability score bonuses, and I could see people not liking that, but I generally play a character to play a character, not necessarily have a bunch of like cool abilities. I mean, it's cool to have abilities, but that's not usually my focus. That's more of Tim's focus. He is very much into the mechanics, but he has a background in game design. That's a thing that he likes.
Tim, aka your co-host of Critical Wits.
Yeah, Tim of Critical Wits. Critical Wits, rather. I'm more in it to play a character, and not saying that he's not, but he gets more out of optimizing. And I hesitate in saying optimizing because
min-maxing,
not necessarily min-maxing, and being definitely efficient. Not power gaming. Being efficient, yes. Okay. And one thing that he likes to do is make characters that have like a gimmick of some sort. There was a time where he made like a in Pathfinder, it was a sorcerer ninja hybrid, and his gimmick was he could breathe lightning and then turn invisible at will.
Jeez,
yeah,
it's Lopan.
Yeah, basically that was the whole shtick of this character.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know. I'm excited for D&D Next personally. I think there's a lot of really cool stuff. I do have some things, and it's a lot of D20 things.
Well, I have to ask you a few things. Mechanics related then. Is combat, it's D20?
Yeah.
It is D20. It's roll a D20. Like, it's adding. It's ascending armor class.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you're not dealing with at-wills and all that stuff.
What about saving throws?
Saving throws are actually based on your ability scores. So if you need to do something reflexy, you do dex. If you need to... So there's not... It kind of harkens back to like old school D&D, where you have like rods, staves, turn to stone, that kind of thing. But it's a little more broad. And we talked about this on our last D&D Next playtest show, which is actually, as of this recording, the most recent episodes that's out. People want it to go back to the D20 saving throws, and we're just like, no, that's stupid.
No,
like
stupid.
Yeah, and because they still have maxes for ability scores, and
yeah, it's 25, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah. It may actually be less than that.
I think it's like 20. It depends on race, and like 22, 20 maybe. For
22 sounds. I think 22 is right. I think you're right.
Yeah, because it's a lot lower, so you're not going to have 26th strength fighters running around that are going to make every strength-based saving throw you could possibly throw at them. They've actually capped some of the attribute-based level advancement by just capping the attributes.
Yeah, you can't go above 22. And I think that's really cool. Like, so I like in this game that they're trying to appeal to everyone. And granted, when that happens, like, some people are going to get left by the wayside.
Yeah. But you can't make everybody satisfied.
Yeah, you can't make everyone satisfied. I really like one thing about this is that, like old school D&D, you can pull things out or graft things on. And I've had this debate with my co-host for years now about like adding to a system versus taking away. I think it's much easier to add to a system, whereas my understanding of it is he feels that it's actually easier to take things out. And in D20, it's just, you can't do it. You cannot do it.
Right. Because
so many things are tied.
Yeah.
So you can't remove things.
I mean, you can, but it gets wonky.
Right.
Oh.
And
like, you can say, I'm not going to use this thing. But depending on what it is, it can be really intrinsic to, like, the system itself.
Right. With D20, everything in the system was figured into the math of your hit dice and your to hit, your damage. You were expected to have X amount of magic items by a certain level.
I know, and that's what I hated about it, because it was all about being fair and balanced, and just, there was the sense of randomness was completely gone, in my opinion.
Right.
Now, it sounds like in D&D Next, they're trying to reintroduce that element of randomness and uncertainty.
They're trying to make it so you can go either way depending on what your preferred game style is.
Yeah. I really like...
I want rigidly defined areas of randomness and uncertainty.
Well...
Then that can be achieved, because
awesome.
all their subsystems with like themes or feats, they're optional. You don't have to use them. And it's not intrinsic to the math of the game that they exist.
That kind of brings up the character classes. So what are they like? I mean, you got your core 4, I guess.
You have your core 4, and then you have like your druid. Druid is actually pretty badass. Our friend Ruya played.
They're badass in first edition.
Yeah, it's druid. I think has always been badass because in third edition there is Druidzilla is the term that optimizers use.
Zilla.
Yeah, Druidzilla, because druids are just they're combat monsters because you get your mount and stuff like that. So you have those. They're gonna try introducing some stuff that they introduced from later things, like they're gonna have like warlock as a thing. Mm-hmm. And within each class, there's ways you can specialize, I guess. Like you can have an archery fighter. You can have a wizard who is an evoker.
Right. Okay. And that's actually something they're bringing in from like 4th edition.
Yeah. They don't have the same like leader, controller, defender.
Right. Yeah. They don't have the roles,
but they definitely have a lot of things from 4th edition.
Right,
and
yeah.
I'm okay with that because I like that game as a game. Like, mechanically, I really like 4th edition. It's a fun game to just roll dice in and kill stuff and have cool abilities.
Right. It makes for great dungeon delves.
Yeah. I will say, in 4th edition, there's a lot less freedom to make things up. Like, the way your powers are flavored and the way their text works and the way the mechanics work and stuff like that, you have a lot less leeway to improvise, which is a problem. Mm-hmm. But like I said, that's not as big a deal to me because I'm not in it for the mechanics.
Well, 4th edition worked best, I've noticed, when I played Castle Ravenloft for the board games. It worked really, really well with playing a full solid game.
Yeah.
The game by itself, didn't like it.
And that's fair. Like, yeah. I like it as a game, and I want to stress as a game, not necessarily as a role-playing game.
Right.
I have a question about. Well, what about races? How is that all structured?
So you have it's kind of how they're doing it with classes as well. You have an overarching type, so elf, dwarf, dragonborn, halfling, and then they're kind of doing the second edition thing, both in regards to race and class, where you have more specific things like you can be a high elf or a wood elf, mountain dwarf or hill dwarf.
See, I don't like the whole dragonborn thing. That never sat well with me. That just seems like Munchkinism.
It's different strokes for different folks. Dragonborns are sort of like they're the new orcs, I guess. To me, like they're the perfect blend of like a.
Do they have gnomes?
Yes, which I don't like. I hate gnomes, you guys. You don't understand. And in fact, if you listen to the newest D&D Next episode, I believe it's that one, I have this huge tirade I went off on how gnomes are completely unneeded. And I could see people thinking that for Dragonborn. And it's a different kind of fantasy for different people.
Because I think it's for that. I think that's tailored towards the Munchkin player. They want something that's this is so awesome. I could play something with dragon blood in it, and it's gonna be uber cool and powerful. And I could kick people's butts all day.
Well, they're not even really that powerful. Like they're breath weapons. You can pump like in 4th edition. You can
okay,
pump
hold on.
resources.
Now hold on. You're giving a player character race a breath weapon.
It's I can see
the problem point. I got, man.
It's like a D6.
Yeah, it's like basically a glorified magic missile, a single one that never gets better.
But no, I don't.
It's what it is. And the thing is, like, I think the mindset of like deriding someone for wanting to play something cool is the wrong mind. Like, I know that's not what you mean, but I'm always really wary of that. So like, I play this game to be awesome. That's what I like. I'm a student. Like, I go to class every day and I write papers. And before that, I worked this crappy job that I hated. So having an escape outlet of escapist fantasy where it's like, I'm not like the best thief in the world, but like I'm a master thief who can do these things.
Well, and that's fine and dandy, but I'm just trying to see, okay, now where's the challenge?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the game itself is the challenge. Like, oh, you're a master thief. Well, here's the capers.
Well, at first level, you shouldn't be a master.
Oh, yeah. That's I think a different discussion, like building up to being awesome. And D&D is actually D&D Next is doing something like that.
I hope so.
So they're not going to have like 0 level characters, but from level 1 to I think 3. Level 3 is really the new starting point for like now you're badass. And so level 1 and level 2 is where you're getting your footing.
Right.
So I see like some people have complained that like, oh, why don't you just make level 3 the new level 1? And you can totally do that. You can start off at level 3
because no one should start off as a badass.
It's a different kind of gaming. Like my personal group, we don't play level 1 anymore because we've played level 1 enough.
Huh?
And we've played enough with each other that we all kind of trust each other. So we just start at level 3 anyways. Because we want to have the ability. Well, we want to be able to go out and have adventures and like do kind of cool stuff.
Why can't you do cool stuff in level adventure level first and level 1 and level 2?
Being level 1 sucks. Like,
being darn! Level 1, you got to work for it. Oh man, that's terrible.
Have to work for it.
Have to work for it. Oh man, yeah, I'm exhausted from imagining things. Like I said, it's a different kind of play style. If you want to, like, I've wanted to do a level 1 game for a while because we haven't done one in a while. But there was a time where we would start at level 1 and we would like be kind of shitty and not. We would have to fight the same things over and over and over again, and it got boring for us. Some people don't get bored with that. That's fine. So our sweet spot for beginning is level 3 because you can still fight the level 1 monsters and you can fight more of them. And you can have kind of more intricate encounters and stuff like that. And you can go and you can fight like 5 hit dice monsters. Like I'm trying to think. I think like Manticore.
I would have to disagree though.
Yeah, and that's
I'll
fine.
just say I disagree because I think you could still make it interesting and challenging even at first and second level.
You
But
can.
that's
But we also kind of want to get through like the establishing our characters kind of thing. And something that we do for that is we always have a practice session. So what we'll do is we'll create characters and then we'll run like a short adventure to see how they play before we lock things in. So it's like, oh, you know, I didn't really use this ability. I think I'm going to swap it out for something. But you only get one chance to do that.
okay.
So it's sort of like it sees how our team dynamic works. It lets us get into the skin of our characters, so we have more of an idea of how we're going to play them for the next however many months.
Okay.
And that works for us. Like some people, it doesn't. And this is my like gaming group that I game with all the time, like that I've been gaming with since 2009 or something like that. So.
Right.
I mean, we've gone through a bunch of different campaigns. We do these things. But I like that D&D Next has this thing that I've already kind of done naturally built in. And you can start at level 1. If you want to have, instead of having like the 0 level grinder from like DCC or something like that, you can have your level 1 character.
I don't like the grinder thing. I think that's just...
but...
It's annoying and pointless. I'm sorry. I don't want to play 4 characters at once and be wrapped up in that. I apologize to the DCT fans, but that's just my thoughts.
I think the appeal of that is you're not attached to any single character. So they're all kind of shallow. You don't role play them a lot. And because the whole point is you send as many in as possible and just have a lot of chaos and death. And whatever's left standing becomes a character.
I enjoy making up a first level character, and I enjoy bringing him through the dungeon. And if he dies, he dies. I mean, that's part of the game. That's how
right.
Drago! Sorry.
I don't need 4 characters in like the movie of 300 going against the thousands of Persians. I mean, come on.
Right.
Speaking of which, coming out.
Yeah, it's just some people that's not it's something that they are interested in. It's not desirable. So
yeah,
no, I looked at that when I saw
different strokes for different folks
in the book, and I was just like, meh. I would pass that.
And you don't have to play it that way either.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a purely optional thing.
All those people are like, oh my god, and they're throwing things at their radio or their iPad or whatever they're listening to it on, saying, I can't believe you said that about my favorite game. Now I'm going to turn you off. Well, we told you not to listen.
Yeah, it doesn't saying that the whole game is bad. It's just that one particular aspect.
Just that one.
Someone you don't like,
Do you have to do the grinder?
No.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the cool thing about like D&D Next is like you don't have to start at level 3, but you also don't have to start at level 1.
Okay.
And that's been a thing in every version of D&D. Like you don't have to start at level 1.
Now, do they still have that whole kind of like I think you might answer this like, when you get to a certain level, you should have had this many average encounters and all that jazz. They got rid of that?
It depends on how, like, it kind of. Like, it's in there to an extent. Encounters have so many experience points, and you have, like, this is an easy encounter, this is a hard encounter, this is a medium encounter. Encounter balancing right now is really wonky, and it's my least favorite thing, because I have accidentally killed people, not meaning to.
That's the other thing is I don't understand why they even had to make a mechanic to classify as easy, medium, or hard.
It's just the amount of experience points that it's worth. Like,
if
you're
fighting
fighting
in the hands of the DM itself, it's like I should.
For the lazy DM. It's for the lazy. Yeah,
it's not that hard to do, Vince.
Well,
I look at it as a tool as to see, like, okay, I want to have them fight like a Drider and a Drow cleric, and their kobold minions, or not kobold minions, it's like deep gnome minions. They're Swerve Nephilim minions. Which maybe that's not right because I think Swerve Nephilim are actually good, but you know what I mean. So you can have like a boss guy who's like your big bad wizard and his minions that they fight, and you can make it hard, but you have a range of like, I want them to get through this with maybe having 1 or 2 casualties, but I don't want to like TPK them. So it's a guideline. It's it's not really a hard and fast rule. And I think like my thing
because I would
is,
totally ignore that rule. I'd just make the encounter the way I see fit.
And you
yeah,
can.
it's really
And you
just like
can.
here's how much experience points is an easy encounter. This much is a medium encounter.
And
this much
those
is
are more
hard.
guidelines than hard rules. Then
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
I
'cause
could
you
live
can
with
just
that.
plug in the numbers. Basically, it's like, oh, I need.
You can plug in
3,000
whatever
experience
numbers
points.
you want. It's just like
Yeah.
okay, here's what it. This is what it could be. So if you want to use it as a guideline, go ahead. But as a DM, I have some.
You do what you want with any addition you want.
Yeah, it's like I have 3,000 experience points. That'll be a really hard encounter. Like one of them is probably gonna die. What's worth 3,000 experience points? 15 goblins and a drow. Bam. That's probably not right. But
You know, Nick is an experienced DM to look at that 5th edition or are they calling it 5th or next?
they're just calling it D&D. Actually, they're not putting in any kind of edition number. Which, like, I know people are going to be like, but the thing is, D&D edition numbers, you're going to have to bleep this out, are basically. And the reason why is like 5th edition of D&D is actually the rule cyclopedia.
Yeah.
And 4th edition of D&D, like D&D 40 is the 4th edition of AD&D. It's just all the numbers are like really arbitrary and the titles are weird. So I think they're just going to call it D&D and let the chips fall where
Yeah,
they may.
they're a mess. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I think Wizards of the Coast screwed it up. It was their fault. So
They did, actually. Yeah, when they released D&D 3.5, also like actually a D&D 3.5, or 3rd edition, I guess, they cut off the advance because they didn't want to discourage people who wanted to get into the game. So it was a marketing thing, but it kind of makes sense. But man, what were we even talking about?
make it your own game. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah. There's a lot, like there are rules, of course, but everything is really, really simple, and you can just bend it to however you want. And nothing is so intrinsic that you can't just tear it out if you don't want it. Like, so in an adventure a couple months ago, I had them fight a Baylor, but none of them had magic weapons or cold iron weapons or anything like that. And they still won. I killed one of them, but you don't have to have like a +3 weapon to fight a demon.
So
you don't have to have cold iron.
So what
You
you're
just
saying,
do less damage.
Everything relies on everything anymore, and you can rip and pull things out without having to worry about breaking the game.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so that's enough. We summed it up there. Good. That's what Nick was looking for an answer, actually. So.
Yeah.
Good job, Crispy.
Thanks.
We appreciate your review.
I like this game a lot. I'm looking forward to it.
When did they have a release date? Gen Con 2000?
I think it's July.
Oh, July. Or Gen Con?
Maybe. I think they're going to shoot for Gen Con. Like, originally, I believe it was July of this year was the original release date. But I think I read somewhere that they're going to try and go for Gen Con.
Oh, I'm back.
Didn't know you were gone.
Yeah, I got dropped somehow. I got to get going anyway, so.
Yeah, no problem. I should probably take a shower and go eat food. So.
Yeah, so we'll end our wrap up. So goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, bye, everyone.